My name is Palesa Kambule. I'm 40 years old. I've got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, born and raised in Soweto in Diepkloof Extension. I'm from a family of my late parents, mom and dad, Mr. and Mrs. Kambule, and my siblings. I'm actually the youngest at home. I was the last born. We were having a lovely home, a great family, a God-fearing family, and the tragedy started when we lost our sister, the one that I come after, who was in an incident where he was killed by the boyfriend. And after that I ended up burying all of my family members and I was left alone. But by the grace of God, that time I was already married with 2 kids, and we moved out of Soweto. And my first husband was very supportive, also a good father to my 2 kids at that time. And he then said to me, after we've moved out of Soweto to the suburbs, Palesa, I think now you need to work. Academically you are fine, you have done civil engineering, you've done accounting, you've done IT, what do you want to do? I said, to be honest, I don't know. I don't have anything that I'm thinking of. I was so relaxed and so comfortable of not working. I think it was part of my grieving because I just lost my family members. By that time, it was the time when Sporenet bought Carlton Center. So SARS was moving from Resick Street in Johannesburg going to Carlton Center, and it was just a change in that scenario of the CBD. So I said to him, you know what, I want to open up a hair salon. He said, what? Out of what you are having, you are thinking of a hair salon. Why don't you think of something? I said, for now, I still need to go back to study. But I think, Kuti, if I'm having a hair salon in that area of the Carlton Center, all the offices are now taken over by Transnet and there is SARS. So all these ladies, they will want to look beautiful. And it happened, and that's where my journey of my business started. Those are the people that they were my clients, and then they said to me, Palesa, why don't you do tendering? I said, what is that? I don't know what is tendering. They said, no, we'll teach you. You go, you register your company. When you come back with your company, you go to SARS, and then SARS will give you the tax clearance, all the processes of tendering. I was taught by them, and it happened like that. And then I started getting small jobs. And while I was doing that tendering, something came to my mind. I thought, okay, I'm doing the renovations here, I'm doing the academically, everything that I started now to show up and to play a very big role. So there was an excitement of me doing the tendering, to being in business, while my ex-husband that time was also full-time in doing his work. And it happened that out of nowhere just landed a huge tender, which it was about 19 million that time. And there was excitement, there was not enough knowledge, there was just so much overwhelming around us. I remember I said, oh, God is consoling me after I have lost my family. Now I've just turned to be a millionaire. And before even that work started, we started having so many differences in the house, up until the last day that we were fighting, and we were fighting about this tender, about the money, how we were going to spend the money. And I don't know, what happened, but my ex-husband became so violent that he took the gun and shot me. And I woke up, I was in the hospital. From the hospital, I was taken to the shelters, and from the shelters, everything was just so quick. But I remember I sat down with social workers, psychologists, and everybody. But Balisa, what do you want? I said, no, I want a divorce. They said, but are you aware that your ex-husband is in prison now? I said, no. That's the best time for me to leave that house. I was scared, I was young. I felt that there was nothing that it can be done on that situation, because I just remembered that, oh, I don't have any family, and then where am I going to run to? So I can't be in the same place with this man, so I just need to get out of his life. So in my mind that time, it was that whenever I'm going to leave the marriage, I will continue with the project. So the kids were involved. I was super excited that even though the marriage can be finished, I've got something I can fall back on. I've got a business, and it's a very big business that time. And unfortunately, things didn't work out that way. I ended up going to take him out of prison. I spoke to the prosecutor, said I want to drop the charges. I'm moving from Joburg. I'm going to Limpopo where my project was. I'll be there, so we won't get any communication or any close to me. And I went. They took him out, and then he came to Limpopo. He tried to kill me the second time. And I remember the guy was handling the case. He said, but it's you that you took him out of prison. And it was back to post, pillar to post. I was running away, I was hiding. I remember I also spent another 7 days in a trauma center. So by the time all those things was happening, that's the time he went and changed the company directorship, that I'm no longer part of the business. He is the 100% director and the shareholder of the business. And that's how I lost that first business. And while I was stranded, no work, no job, no nothing, I received a call from another department if I'm not interested in assisting them to do their projects. I was excited, and then I got the first job, and it didn't pay that much. It was less than $1 million, but I managed to come back to Joburg, start a life. And then it was the time we were preparing for the 2010, so everybody was going around saying that if you've got properties, you'll be able to rent them out during the 2010 World Cup. And God blessed me that time in a very serious way, because businesses were just falling to my hands. I bought properties, I bought everything that any young girl could have that time. I remember well, I was below of age of 26 years, and I would really touch huge amount of monies, and that is when I had a lot of friends in my life. I had a lot of business associates. I just had everything just fall into place. I bought myself a nice big mansion. I drove whatever car that I needed at that time. If it was the latest, it would be mine. Things were just moving. I even forgot completely about my loss and about everything I came across. And by that time, I had met my second husband, who I had 2 kids with him as well. He was a good, supportive man. Everything was just fine. And in that time, about 8 years, things were moving very nicely. everything was fine. I have done so many investments in different areas. The businesses are all moving well. I have stopped even tendering. I am doing the supply of imports. I'm just everywhere, and I can't even name places where I never had offices around in big cities. I was just doing well. And one bad decision I did, it was buying outside of the country with an LC, letter of credit, and those goods, they were never cleared, and I was never able to resell them, and that's where my downfall started. But when my downfall started, it was that no, the goods they are not cleared, and now what next? And you will hear in the transport business, the trucks will just die. In any business that I was in, things started to fall apart bit by bit. So when I was pregnant, my last born, that was born in 2010, I was born in October, and then in November, I didn't have a choice because of my debts. My debts were about 300 million, where I had to go to declare myself insolvent, and I was sequestrated, and my marriage fell apart as well. My ex-husband denied my son, he said it's not his, and from all of that I became homeless. I suffered with those kids. I used to stay in friend's house with no money, no job, no hope of anything. I would move from houses to houses. I tried to get my space to say, no, I'm Palis, I know I can make it, I'll get a job, I'll work, and nothing will come. Nothing. All the friends I had, all the family that was very close, nobody was there. And one day I was sick. I was now every time sick, not knowing what was wrong with me. So I went to the clinic. The clinic, they referred me to the hospital. The guy who came to examine me, it was a young medical doctor, good looking, and we started talking, and then he asked me, Palisa, what's wrong? Because I can see that you've got problems. And then I started telling him. He said, you know what, I'm single, I'm not married. I want to take care of you and your kids, and be a husband to you, and to be a father. And I was like, wow, thank God. God finally sent me a savior, and he did everything for us. He took us in to a nice, comfortable home. But when time went by, he was so strict that he wouldn't even allow me to go out of the house. So out of the depression of losing whatever I've lost and going through the pains I've went through, I was more depressed. And I woke up one day, I was in the hospital. I was told I collapsed, and they took me to the hospital. I remember the lady in the hospital said to me, you've got a problem, you need to speak to a psychologist. and I went to the psychologist. The psychologist referred me to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said, your depression is severe. We need to admit you. You've just went through a lot and you never dealt with anything. And after that process, I decided that, you know what, let me go back to my parents' house. It was having people that were staying there, that were renting the house. I just need time to be alone and to really find out myself, to be alone, just me. I left my kids with the guy and I came back to Soweto. And while I was there, trying to find myself, life was very difficult. It was so difficult to a point that if I said I had a good week, I would have had 3 meals in a week. It was so hard. I tried to commit suicide, but I failed so many times. I saw myself as a failure. Out of everything that I had, to not having anything at all. I really think the time in my life where I was alone, because that was a time I met God face to face. And he said to me, Palesa, you're not going anywhere. You are going to change other people's life. I'm going to use you to be somebody else in this world where people, they will know that I am God. There is a living God. And I got hope. I was excited. I went to so many different churches that time. I remember trying to really find who am I. But I didn't have any luck up until I was able to hear God's clear voice, and he said to me, I want you to take care of my children. The first thing I want you to do, I want you to help the community of Soweto. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how. So one of the tenants in the house said to me, Sis Palesa, I'm going to UBC every Thursday. In UBC, they have this organization. It's called Soweto Business Forum. They help us to get tenders. So I said, oh, by the way, I'm still sequestrated, but I can help, I can assist in terms of business because I can't go back and run my own business anytime soon. So I went there. So when I went there in the first meeting, I heard that they were discussing, many of them, they didn't even have any clear or clue in any business of how to be an entrepreneur, how to do things, even the basic things, just to start by just compliance. And I was answering most of the questions, and the chairperson that time rose the hand and said, my sister, it's the first time we see you here. Can I ask you that you openly come? And very soon, in 2 months to come, we are going to have our elections where there's going to change the whole of the executive. And I was there. I was starting to assist them, and I was then voted as the deputy president for Soweto Business Forum, and that is where I found out who I was. That is where I was so excited that I am helping another person to understand the journey of being an entrepreneur. And today, Soto Business Forum, when I joined it, it was only having 200 members. Now it's about plus minus 3,000 members, where it has different what do you call it? We have Soto Business Forum, manufacturing and textile. We've got farming. We've got the ones that are into retail space, the ones that are into spaza shops. We identify the problems in the society. We bring up solutions. And as I'm sitting here now, I am the CEO of the Mampuru Kingdom, Kobabina Nukuba Mampuru in Stillport. I've gone back to my business. My sequestration is finished. Currently running a project right now in Eastern Cape, very big, which is my own business. I've got property in the South Coast, I've got property in the Limpopo, I've got property in Gauteng. My life just changed, and it was that moment when I first heard the voice of God said to me, "You're not going anywhere, and you are going to help my children, and you are going to change other people's life." My story, or my journey, I call it my journey with God, is that there is no painful experience in this life that I can say I've never came across. And by those pains, I'm able to help and to assist a lot of people and give them hope that if I, Balisa, managed to pass what I've managed, I don't think that there is whatever that we are facing, God cannot be part of it. And there is no way that whatever that you are passing is just for fun. It's planning for a promotion. From the day one when I did my businesses, it was me, I. And the whole thing has changed. It's us, we. I don't do anything that doesn't involve a community, that doesn't involve other people's life. My joy is that when I sleep, I know that there are 10, 15, 20 people that they are able to put bread on top of their table because of what I have done into their lives. And that is how I saw that everything that happened to me, it was happening for a reason, so that God can really change many people's life. Thank you. Hi, my name is Balisa Kambule. I have been through the most.